bigger, tougher and more brutal than ever!
Robot Wars, every Friday at 6:45 on BBC Two.
Makes you ashamed to be human.
David Lynch is the slightly eccentric director of such films as The Elephant Man, being shown on Saturday, and Twin Peaks, planned for tonight, but now postponed because of that long and exciting conclusion to The Snooker. In half an hour here on BBC Two, Lynch gives a rare interview about his work for Scene by Scene. So, late but not too late, I hope, on BBC Two now. Have I got news for you?
Good evening, and we'd like to apologise to the makers of They Think It's All Over for the dramatic loss of viewers last week caused by last Friday's edition of the Yorkshire Post. In the news this week, in Moscow, Boris Yeltsin's secretary prepares his morning schedule. NHS doctors blame longer waiting lists on the time wasters who insist on coming to see them. And sport, and hopes are high for an Olympic gold as a British athlete sets a new Commonwealth record. On Ian Hislop's team is a newsreader who once described the Director-General of the BBC as pathetic, so Ian's team have already scored 1 point, Anna Ford. And with Paul Merton tonight is a media pundit, TV celebrity and quiz panellist, except for viewers in Scotland, where apparently he's some sort of politician, Alex Salmond. Round one has never looked nearer. Ian and Anna, who'd have thought?
Oh, there's a surprise.
Lord Archer of Rebound.
Oh, I hope not.
Ted Francis, who accused him of...
And Max Clifford. Oh, there's Shagger Norris. Don't laugh, he's the sensible candidate. Anyway, Jeff got his comeuppance, and we mustn't gloat because it's incredibly funny.
So what was the alibi he asked his friend to give, the false alibi?
Well, he got someone else to lie for him. Presumably bored of doing it for himself, so...
We can say all this now, isn't it wonderful?
Yeah. He's a tosspot.
Yeah.
Somebody says he's on the brink of committing suicide, and somebody else says that, oh, the public have been very supportive of him. Combine the two, he should commit suicide in public. He could be his own hangman. People are chatting.
A sympathetic response.
Yeah.
So where were we?
You'll
This
feel
is
really bad on the repeat when he has.
Yeah. And you didn't bother going to see it.
And the BBC...
Chuck a potato at Jeffrey Archer, he could be hanging there like that.
Since the scandal broke, Lord Archer has been holed up inside his Cambridgeshire home, presumably with nothing to do except to watch television. Evening. Archer could stand trial for perverting the course of justice, in which case the prospect of an 18-month prison sentence is a truly disturbing one when you think how many books he could write. The incident has had a profound effect on Archer. According to one of his closest friends, he is on the floor, he is shell-shocked, he is totally depressed. I have never known him this low. Oh well. Paul and Alec, your joyous news from number 10.
That's three Blair babes.
And there's
That's
he's saying, let's have sex over there.
So this is the new addition to the Blair family.
So what about the front runners in the name stake? Have you been reading about what the most popular names are?
Wonderful. Councillor, the Mighty Prince.
Albert.
Albert, is it?
Albert.
Albert.
They reckon Tony.
Florence. Tony.
Tony, yeah.
Tony too.
And what are the outsider chances? The less likely names?
Lester Pickett.
40 to 1 for Ken. 50 to 1 for Maggie.
What, at the birth? Maggie, 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 out, out, out.
And did you read about when their relationship blossomed initially?
Hang on a second, you said something in the middle of that which was desperately important. I think you're from another planet.
That was given to aliens, yeah.
You are from another planet, aren't you? Go on, admit it.
Look at that shirt. Pathetic, isn't it?
Their romance, when did it first blossom?
Is the tie actually made out of the shirt?
Yeah, it actually
When did
goes
their
far
romance
as that.
blossom?
Yeah.
Is this strictly our business?
Who are the Blairs?
Apparently it was in 1977 when they were playing passing a balloon game between your legs at an office party.
Passing a balloon?
Yeah, between the legs. You must have played that one, surely.
What do? You eat a balloon and then you wait? What sort of parties do you go to?
Yes, this is the news that Cherie Blair is unexpectedly pregnant at the age of 45. The announcement that the Blairs were to have a fourth child came as a complete shock. Apparently, Tony first found out when he sat down together with Cherie and listened open-mouthed as Alistair Campbell informed them both they'd be having a baby in 9 months' time. Tony and Cherie told the Queen of the news several weeks ago, admitting that their fourth child was a mistake. The Queen replying, "Yes, mine too, complete waste of space." Ian and Anna, a bit of a tabloid tease for you. Tories hacked off.
The Tories are hacked off, presumably because they're washed up forever now, in the Jeffrey Archer thing. But is this a computer hacking?
It is a computer hacking reference, yes.
Oh, right. Just as they got used to the idea that Archer was very, very embarrassing, it turned out that this man Ashcroft, who lives in Belize a lot of the time, who was the Tory party treasurer, was giving £1 million to himself as treasurer for the Tory party. Which is quite embarrassing, really. £1 million a year Ashcroft gives the Tories.
But there is new legislation coming in. Do you know who's going to be responsible for checking the accounts in future?
The treasurer of the party?
That's right, yes.
Who would be himself?
Yeah. Yeah, so
I've given myself £1 million. Well, that seems ethical to me.
Ashcroft, Ancram, Aitken, Archer. Somebody in The Guardian wrote a letter that the Tories are revealing themselves in alphabetical order.
And who's going to be disqualified from contributing to party funds in the future?
Anybody who lives abroad?
Well, for more than 5 years, yes.
But not people who live in Europe.
But it will exclude certain people, such as former 007s, who live in the Bahamas now.
Well, we'll have to watch the house market in Scotland very carefully. Then,
Yes. How much is it he gives your lot every year?
Not as much as £1 million, but I consider it
Is it
about £40,000. But that's all published. You don't have to hack into our accounts to find it out.
Does that cover everything?
It is the theft of computer records from Tory Central Office showing donations from abroad, most notably from party treasurer Michael Ashcroft in Belize. The records show that earlier this year Michael Ashcroft sent a cheque for £1 million to the leader of the Conservative Party, although the cheque is actually post-dated to next year and made out to Michael Portillo. And finally, Paul and Alec. 65% he-male, 35% female.
That's another computer one. This is a survey which showed that 35% of the traffic on email was female and 65% was male. You got that?
It's because it's cheap. You don't need to put a stamp on it.
But if it's cheap, would that mean women used it more?
No,
No, men.
Because we're mean.
Yeah. That's right. Got it in one.
Do you use a computer? You look as if you do on the news.
One finger, yes.
But when you do at the end of the news, when you go,
It's still that bit,
what
isn't
are you
it?
doing now?
I thought that was a knitting machine. I did. I thought that's what it was.
Yeah, well,
I thought you were playing the theme tune.
it's cardboard replica.
So the SNP have a website.
It's a good website.
Is it?
We got
One
free.
page, two.
Oh no, lots of pages. We got 3 stars in a computer magazine, which I thought that was quite good. We've got a 3-star website.
No, don't rush off. But isn't there something rather exciting happening on your website?
It's changing.
No, next Monday I'm thinking the release of a CD.
You're going to play this, aren't you? Well, I want, as people listen to this, I want them to think that this is the only chance we've got of stopping Cliff Richard being the Millennium #1.
Right.
It's something else set to Old Lang Syne, is it?
No, it's 12 songs for independence.
Right. Roll VT.
Come on, drink up. Haven't you got any homes to go home to? Come on, there you go. Come, we've all had a drink. There you go.
So anyway, it is a new survey of 20 million net users, which shows that men are using the internet nearly twice as much as women. Thanks to the new internet technology, users can dial up bank statements, check standing orders and monitor cash deposits. All you have to do is visit www.torycentraloffice.com. So at the end of that round, both sides have done rather better than England's batsmen, scoring as they have 2 fours. Due to the saturation coverage of the Jeffrey Archer scandal in the news this week, there are no other stories to cover, but that does give us the perfect opportunity to present our very own general knowledge quiz and demonstrate our panel's depth and breadth of knowledge on a variety of subjects. So, fingers on the buzzers. Which queen ruled Britain from 1837 to 1901? Yes, Paul and Alex.
Queen Victoria.
Correct. And how much money did Jeffrey Archer pay a prostitute at the station of that name? In 1984. Yes, Ian and Anna?
£2,000.
£2,000, now known as the full Archer.
Correct. When Jeffrey Archer was elected MP for Louth at the age of 29, he claimed to be the youngest MP in the House.
He wasn't.
3.
He was, in fact, the...
Third.
4th youngest. Correct.
What do you mean correct? You gave the answer. He said 3rd, you said 4th, you said correct.
The actual question was it true or false? And it was false, so Ian got it right. Next. When he won a seat on the GLC in 1967, Mr. Archer claimed to be the youngest...
It was false. He wasn't the youngest.
Yeah, he wasn't, no.
That's right. How did Lord Archer describe his occupation on his marriage certificate?
Researcher.
Research graduate, yes. And is this true or Archer?
It's Archer. It's Archer.
It's an Archer.
It's Archer.
It's an Archer. He was studying an education degree at a related college.
That's right. He was never a graduate, let alone a research graduate. How many expense claims was Archer accused of fiddling when raising funds?
5,648.
Lower.
5,600.
It was 8.
Higher.
26.
Higher.
29.
Higher.
32.
56.
33, 34, 35, 36, 82, 41.
60 is in fact the answer, which none of you got, in fact, in the end. After awarding Kathleen Burnett of Trumpington first prize in a short story competition.
It was a story called A Twist and Tell, which was featured. You found out at the end of the story that the narrator was a cat. He then wrote a story 18 months later called A Twist and Tell, which you found out the narrator was a cat.
Is the right answer for 1 point. Very good. On his visit to Kurdistan, how did Archer greet the assembled crowd?
Bastard Kurds. That's what the translation was. He thought he'd learnt a bit of Kurdish. And he was addressing them all saying, Bastard Kurds!
Correct. He mistakenly said bastard Kurdistan in the local language.
Could have been worse, he could have said lemon curds.
We may be coming to that later.
Oh, will we?
During an athletics race at Oxford in 1963... Paul?
Well, we had it on the programme the other week. He sort of jumped the gun 3 times. He should have been disqualified, but he carried on running anyway and said, no, I'm in the race anyway, and then carried on.
5-point penalty for interrupting. Ian and Anna?
Can we have the rest of the
yes,
question,
you can have the
please?
rest of the question in the
Jeremy.
time-honoured tradition. During an athletics race at Oxford in 1963, what achievement propelled Archer into the national press?
He ran 100 yards in less than 10 seconds.
No. Cheering on competitors, he was hit by a discus and stretchered off. What nicknames did he give his 2 Kurdish friends, Brusk Saib and Naheem Zahawi?
Lemon. And Douglas.
Half right, but you need to stay on the food theme.
Oh, bean curd.
Bean curd and lemon curd. Which brief investigation helps this inquiry to an end, with Paul and Alex facing a life of shame, trailing as they are 10-2. The odd one out round is not only peculiar to this show, but to anyone who tries to play it. Paul, your matinee idols are Cary Grant, Timothy Leary, Jack Straw and prisoner CB9298.
Well, this is an LSD question. Cary Grant took LSD in the late 50s. Timothy Leary was famous for Tune Intern on Watch Channel 5. And Jonathan Aitken, I think, also as well took a bit of LSD in the 60s as well. Somebody said that he did. And Jack Straw, he's the odd one out because he's never taken LSD.
Is the right answer.
You don't understand, Inspector. Someone tried to kill me last night. It's Cary Grant.
I thought it was Tomcat.
Didn't you get offered a film part once?
Who, me? Yes, I was offered a part in Chariots of Fire to play Lord Birkenhead's mistress.
Would you have had to walk on in slow motion? That'd be
Yes,
good.
I would have loved it, yes.
That's
No.
amazing, we've never seen Ian stand up before. A lot of viewers assumed he was standing up. So Jonathan Aitken then.
Me?
You had a bit of a contretemps with him, didn't you?
Well, it was more with his cousin. I mean, I worked at TVAM and Timothy called me in one day. And I went in, I'd just done the show with David Frost, and he said, "You're fired." And I said, "I'm sorry, what did you say?" And he said, "You're fired."
Why were you fired?
I don't know.
Really?
It's a complete mystery. Yes.
So was it before being fired or afterwards that you threw wine over Jonathan Aitken?
It was afterwards.
Right.
Because there he was, and it just seemed a sort of reasonable thing to do. I hadn't... He came towards me at a party, and I just happened to have a glass of white wine, well, half a glass of white wine in my hand. So I had it filled up.
So we can...
Yes, the answer is that they've all taken LSD except for Jack Straw, whose crime bill will soon allow police to give suspects on-the-spot drug tests. Acid guru Timothy Leary announced just before his death, "I want my brain to be put into a beautiful young black woman." Well, Naomi Campbell has a vacancy. Right, Alec. Michael Portillo, Ron Davies, Donald Dewar and Ian Paisley.
Oh, well, this is a political question. This is about mandates. This is that Donald Dewar is a member of the Scots Parliament as well as Westminster. Ian Paisley is a member of the European Parliament and perhaps the Northern Irish Assembly and Westminster. Ron Davies is a member of the Welsh Assembly and Westminster. And Michael Portillo is just become a member of one Parliament.
Is the right answer.
Oh. Is it,
And who did Portillo appear on an election poster with this week?
Jeffrey
Well,
Archer.
Jeffrey Archer, yes.
With the Labour Party, you've got it on a postcard and they're putting it through doors in Kensington and Chelsea.
There was someone else who capitalised on the Archer story for a poster campaign this week as well. Did you see this? Although this was Vaseline. Sorry, Geoffrey, not even we can save your skin this time. Anna, your bunch of has-beens are Mao Zedong, Bob Dylan, Jeffrey Archer, and a walrus.
The walrus went for a walk with the carpenter to eat a lot of oysters. Jeffrey Archer probably gave oyster parties. Bob Dylan's other name is Zimmerman, so he couldn't eat oysters, because if you're Jewish, you're not allowed to eat shellfish.
That's one of the worst answers I've ever heard.
It's Beatles. Mao Zedong is mentioned in the song Revolution. Bob Dylan's mentioned in the song Your Blues. The Walrus is mentioned in the song I Am the Walrus. And Jeffrey Archer's there because he appeared with the Beatles in 1963, having raised money with them to Oxfam. 2 points, please.
Yes, in fact, we can see Jeffrey Archer here, pictured with the Beatles.
But he appears in the song as well. Very, very bad paperback writer.
Yeah, so where does Chairman Mao...
Revolution. If you're going to carry pictures of Chairman Mao, that's the lyric there.
You aren't going to get...
Anywhere, anyhow.
Anyhow.
Yeah.
Forget Keats. That was John Lennon. Phew.
Yes.
You don't like the Beatles, do you, Ian? You don't like the Beatles, you don't like football. What's the matter with you?
I didn't say I didn't like the Beatles. I just said the lyrics are terrible. They're just garbage.
I Am the Walrus. Surely you must enjoy that.
If it were a song about a walrus, I'm sure it'd be very interesting.
What is it a song about?
I've absolutely no idea.
Then how do you know it's not about a walrus? It does say I am the walrus, which gives me the idea that there is a walrus connection within the song.
Elaborate.
I am the walrus, they are the Eggmen, Coo-Goo Ka-Choo.
So if you're not a Beatles fan, you're more what? Piccadilly Witch?
Handel's
Middle
Messiah?
of the road?
Alma
Right.
Cogan.
He's never heard of Alma Cogan, I can
Big
promise
fan of
you.
Alma Cogan.
Never heard. Who's Alma Cogan?
She sang Shrimp Boats Are Coming In. I have no idea who Alma Cogan is.
You must think of Ian as a trainee judge.
Bob Dylan features in the Beatles song Your Blues and was a pioneer of protest songs which were all the rage in the 60s, and particularly among guitar-strumming students. Weren't they, Anna?
Probably.
Oh, yes.
Masters of war, you that build all the guns, you that build the death plane, you that build a big bomb. I just want you to know I can see through your masks.
Wonderful.
Anna, do you want to be on a CD coming up quite soon?
And finally in this round, Ian. Sir Walter Raleigh, Tony Blair, Oscar Wilde, and prisoner CB 9298.
Well, this is about writing poetry in jail, because Aitken's become a poet. Sir Walter Raleigh was put in the Tower and wrote verse. Oscar Wilde, he was in Reading jail. I think he wrote De Profundis when he was in jail. And Tony Blair, I don't think he's ever been in jail. Well, I think the others have written poems from jail and Tony hasn't.
Is the right answer. Very good. Weren't you the subject of someone's poem once upon a time?
Why do you keep getting it?
Yeah,
wrong?
what's the matter with you? Do you want to go out with her? Ask her then. Weren't you this, weren't you that?
It's true, though, isn't it?
Trainee what?
What, do you want to go out with?
That's obviously true. No, you're the
Ask me after the
subject
programme.
of someone's poem, Reggie Bosanquet.
Reggie
He wrote
Bosanquet,
you a
yes.
Poem.
He used to write me poems all the time. He would pen this little sort of often extremely rude verse, and he would float it over so that it landed on your desk just before you're about to read a very serious piece about the Queen going to Berlin or something.
So did you ever go, news just in, there was a young man from...
No, but Reggie liked a little rest in the afternoon. Because he used to have to walk the line occasionally before the news went out at night, just to make sure he could walk the line.
What's walk the line mean?
Well, it means walk in a straight line across the floor.
What, there would be a line across the floor for
There was
him?
a line across the floor, and if he couldn't walk the line, then he went
You seem to
home.
find it difficult with
Somebody
the
else
concept
did
of a
it.
line on the floor. Walk the line on the wall?
The opposite of Frank Boff, wasn't it? Because he had to snort the line.
The answer is that they've all composed poems whilst in prison, except for Tony Blair, who composed a poem for the TUC conference this year, for which he should have been imprisoned.
I've written you a little poem, which I'm going to read to you. Every year, this time of year, I come to the TUC, and every year the press report there'll be a row between you and me. So the link between us changes. You've changed and so have we. You're welcome now in number 10, but no beer today, just tea.
That's terrible. That is just terrible, isn't it?
Yeah. I think he wrote it himself.
I'm sure he did.
I think the baby not yet born wrote that.
Whilst in Reading Jail, Oscar Wilde requested a number of lengthy books, including Liddell and Scott's Greek Lexicon, Short's Latin Dictionary, the Corpus Poetarum Latinorum, and Dante's Divine Comedy. Prison guards burst in just as he was about to escape in a huge paper glider. And so to the promiscuous delight of our final missing words round. Eyes down, look in on Mandelson goes into what zone?
Boy. Ozone, no.
Yeah.
Twilight. No, it is in fact doubt zone. This is over the Millennium Dome. Peter Mandelson claiming he was brought in as a scapegoat in case the whole project collapsed. Next, butterfly with built-in what?
Radar.
Shower unit.
It's a personal directional system to fly them back to Mexico, the valley they live in.
Well, I'll give you one for that, yes.
Monarch butterflies.
Yes, compass is the answer. A built-in magnet is what it is, which results in 100 million butterflies being able to find their way back to Mexico.
They're born in Mexico and they go all the way to Canada, and then they fly all the way back to Mexico and they land up on the same tree every year.
What I'd do is I'd put that tree on the back of a truck and put it somewhere else. Why should they have it easy?
Next, Haig's wife to what?
Get pregnant as soon as possible.
Become a headhunter?
Yes.
She's going to Borneo.
That's right. She's going to Borneo.
She's trying to get her husband a new head. See if it works.
And finally, sardines saved what?
Ladybird from drowning. Saved from tin horror. My husband's in oil in a small way. He's a sardine.
No, it's saved someone else, actually. Sardines saved stranded potholers. These are 7 Frenchmen who were trapped for 10 days and they dined on half a sardine and a rotten chestnut, dreaming of their rescue and being able to get back to a normal diet of snail and raw liver. Which novel approach proves beyond reasonable doubt that this week's authors of their own destruction are Paul and Alec with 10, while this week's first among equals are Ian and Anna with 17. And I leave you with news that at Moscow General Hospital, a power cut proves disastrous for the world's first ear transplant. After a slight delay, a DSS official delivers cold weather payments to 2 pensioners. And eyebrows are raised as Robin Cook road tests his new ministerial car. Good night.
Next tonight, Scene by Scene talks to the director of The Elephant Man, amongst other things, David Lynch.
Line 1, I am free and flying.
Abort now!
From the far reaches of the universe